and a stellar individual who will be in the courtroom today watching the proceedings. Chip, what can you tell us about the courtroom and what you saw yesterday and how the court is treating reporters?
Well, the court is treating reporters terribly. As people may know, they denied a remote access to all international reporters who were not in England and Wales, and they did not give anyone in-person credentials until the Friday or Monday before the proceedings were on Tuesday. And if you're like me and coming from Washington, D.C., not knowing 1 or 2 business days before, if you have to take an international flight, is quite not great. Or that's a double negative, but it's not great. And in the courtroom, for those of us who are reporters who are in the annex, the media annex, the judge has ordered we all sit in a balcony area where we do not have access to tables where we can use laptops. Usually you would. And it's very difficult to see the remote proceeding, and the audio was awful yesterday, and at times it's cut out completely. Nearly every reporter I've talked to feels like this is a deliberate attempt to prevent the press from covering the press freedom trial of the century. Nonetheless, I did pick up that Julian Assange's attorneys have very strong arguments about why the political offense exception applies to his case. I did go to law school, but I'm a journalist now, and they are right. The textbook examples of a political offense literally in our textbook was espionage, the charge they have charged Julian with. So it is clearly a political offense. This extradition is clearly illegal under the treaty. It is clearly illegal under international law. And on top of that, it is an affront to the global right of press freedom.
Well said, well said. What do you expect from the prosecution today? What kind of arguments can they make that make any sense?
That make any sense?
Yes.
Well, I don't know about making any sense because the extradition treaty is very clear. You cannot extradite someone for a political offense, and that is in the vast majority of UK extradition treaties. It's in the vast majority of extradition treaties, period. The judge, for some reason, found that some sort of 2003 British law basically quietly removed this from the treaty, or the treaty's not enforceable. That argument does not make any sense or fly to me. But a district judge, or which they call a DJ, which I always find confusing. I'm always like, why is this disc jockey doing these bad things? Found that. So I'm hoping they'll come to their senses and, not throw out 100 years of extradition law in order to get one journalist.
Well, it won't be one journalist. It'll be all journalists.
It will be all
journalists.
Yes, you're right. Julian is not an American citizen, and the U.S. government is claiming they can find anyone, anywhere in the world, extraterritorially apply the Espionage Act, seize them, and bring them to the U.S. to be imprisoned. It's a bonkers abuse of authority on the behalf of the United States. I mean, if Julian Assange was an American, this would still be very wrong. But the American government charging an American journalist with an American law, as unconstitutional as that is very different than saying we're going to go around the world and find someone who doesn't even operate in our country.
Yeah, this is the first time that a journalist has been held for prosecution for producing truthful information that harmed no one.
In the U.S. And the rest of the world, that happens sometimes. Yes. No, it's really troubling. It's an extremely troubling case, and it will determine both the future of the First Amendment in the U.S. and press freedom globally.
Well, Chip, I know you have to get in the courtroom, and I want to thank you very much for standing here in the rain with me.
Thank you. I wore my tweed so the rain isn't bothering me.
I await your excellent reportage in Jacobin.
I await writing it, so that makes 2 of us.
That makes 2 of us. Well, good. I'm certain you'll